Hey y'all, this is Jan with Queens Up Poker. Hope you're having a great day, and I'm so thankful that you chose to spend a little piece of it with me. So, I wanted to talk to you real quick about some of the life lessons that I've learned at the poker table. So, I've always considered poker a metaphor for life. And one of the lessons that I have learned the hard way is that some days you're the windshield and some days you are the bug. So, let me explain what I mean by that. Some days the cards seem to be smacking you in the face. It doesn't matter what you have. You could have 8-3 offsuit and you're going to flop a full house. Like, it's just your night. You know what I'm saying? And then other days you'll have pocket aces and they will get cracked by a 5-3 offsuit because that day they're the windshield and you're the bug. So I had a buggy day yesterday. Let me tell you about a couple of hands that I played. And so, look, first of all, okay. Usually, because of variance being no hand ever plays exactly the same in poker. So like I mentioned, you expect or you hope that when you have pocket aces, you're going to win the hand. But every now and again, because of variance, because you don't know what 5 cards are going to hit the board or what your opponents have, those aces may not win. So that's called variance. The varying degrees or the varying percentages of how many times you're going to win a hand versus lose a hand. So when I say sometimes you're the windshield, it's saying that your variance, you're always on the right side of variance. Your aces are great. Your 8-3 off is great. Your queen jack always flops a straight. Like, you're always on the right side of variance. The days that you're a bug, you're on the wrong side of variance, which means no matter what your 2 cards are, it feels like they always lose. Okay. So now let me explain. So I end up with a hand, ace jack offsuit. So I think it was the ace of spade, jack of hearts. And I raise pre-flop to signify to the rest of the table that I have a good hand. Now, this day, I'm playing with people that are not as experienced players. Again, I've only been playing for 3 years, so I'm not the most experienced player either. But 9 times out of 10, if somebody raises pre-flop, it's letting you know they have a pretty good hand. So you have to look at your hand and figure out what are the odds that you either have a better hand already or that your hand could get better depending on the cards that hit the board, okay? And sometimes you may choose to take a chance with suited connectors, meaning maybe it's 9-10 and they're both spades, or 6-7 and they're both diamonds, suited, connected. But sometimes, if you have cards like I talked about in one of my previous videos that are too far apart for a straight and not really the highest ones in the deck, so even if you were to pair them, you most likely wouldn't be good, or something on the board would be above your pair, you usually just decide to get out of the way. That's if you're an experienced player, right? So I have ace jack offsuit. The flop hits like queen 10-4. Let me think. Yeah, I was right. Queen 10-4. Okay. So I could use a king. If I get a king, then I have a straight, right? Because I have ace jack and then there's a queen 10. So the king is the middle card that I need, called a gut shot, for me to get a straight. So I'm like, okay, let's, I continuation bet. So I bet again. I haven't really hit the board, but I'm looking for another card, and I still think that my 2 cards are pretty good. So let's see what happens. I've got some equity. Equity meaning the cards to come might give me a better hand, whether I could pair my jack or pair the ace, or hit the king. I have a lot of outs or a lot of cards that could hit the board to improve my hand. So I continuation bet. And one guy decides to call my continuation bet. Okay, so then the turn hits. That's the 4th card on the board. So the turn hits, it's like a 6. We'll say a 6. And that doesn't help me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to slow down a little bit. Let me check. He checks as well. The river is a 7. Okay, so that shouldn't really change much. I check. He bets 6. I'm like, and we're in a tournament. We're not talking about money. We're talking about like 600 in chips. So I call the 600. He flips over king 7. Now, many times you want someone who's inexperienced to make calls with inferior cards. In this case, the fact that I had an ace put me ahead the entire hand until the 7 on the river paired his little card and gave him a better hand than me. Now, when I raised pre-flop, he chose to call. When I bet on the flop, he chose to call, but a more experienced player, perhaps being able to read the board, may have chosen to get out of the way. Okay, so in that hand, I'm like, okay, you're the bug. Let's just see what happens. So a few hands later, same tournament, I end up with ace jack again, but this time they're suited, ace jack of spades. And I'm short stacked because none of my draws have hit, meaning when the flop hits, say I'll have, king 10 of hearts, and the flop will hit with like 2 hearts, but it won't finish. Like there won't be a third heart on the board, nor will there be a king or anything to help me have the better hand. So when someone bets, I have to get out of the way. So I end up just feeling like the bug all night, and I just fold. I'm getting, just blinded out. I'm not catching any cards. It's just frustrating. Well, I finally looked down at ace jack of spades, and I put in my last 2,100 in chips, not actual money, okay? 2,100 in chips, which again is a sign of strength. When you commit your whole stack without even seeing any other cards, most players who understand the game would assume, okay, she has a very strong hand, which ace jack is a strong hand, especially with them both being spades, because if 3 spades hit the board, then I would have the best flush possible with the ace of spades. So I go all in pre-flop. I get called by one girl at the table. Okay. Again, she's not a very experienced player, but that's okay. Because if you're on the right side of variance, you want the inexperienced players to call you because you can get your chips, right? Or get their chips. So the flop hits with like a 10, a 5, and a jack. Yes. So I have top pair, top kicker, meaning my jack is the top pair on the board and the ace is the highest second card you can have as your kicker. So I have top. All right. So now we have to expose our hands. When you're all in a tournament, you have to expose your hand before the cards run out. So I'm showing that I have the top pair on the board and the top kicker. She gingerly, reluctantly lays her cards down. She has queen 5. Okay, so we both flopped a pair. Mine is bigger. The turn, irrelevant. We'll say it's a deuce of clubs. Okay. The river is another 5. Okay, so she wins. She has 3 5s with a queen. I have 2 jacks, 2 5s, and an ace. So she wins the hand. I, not so gracefully, make my exit from the table. I stand up. Y'all have a good night. I finish my drink. And I accept the fact that today I was the bug. Okay? So hopefully the next time I play, I will be the windshield and have a little bit more run good, be on the right side of variance. And I'm looking forward to that. So I will tell you guys about that because I'm getting ready to head out now to another tournament. And I will let you know exactly how it goes. So look forward to hearing about those stories next week. Until then, like I said, hope you're having a great day. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.